All right, everybody, give me just a minute here to get this started. We've never done this with a multi-channel format here or multi participant format. So okay, and I have audio, so that's problem number one. So give me a second, folks. We've got a couple of things that we're going to go over, and we've also got the rest of our team here. The way that Restream is set up here in this instance is I actually can't bring people on until I had this set up scripted, and I can't bring anybody on. So I'm going to run through. We're going to change our agenda a little bit. And we're going to run through what I'm going to run through quick, and we're going to bring everybody else on hopefully within the next like 10 minutes here. So any of you guys that are behind the scenes that I can't see right now, like just give me like 10 minutes and we'll get on. So folks, if you're new here, this is going to be something that we're going to start doing more regularly. We've got a huge team when it comes to Project WeatherEye, and we'll even put the chat up there. A huge team when it comes to Project WeatherEye. There are more people than just me. There's more people than Radar Omega. There's more people than SeeTheStorm.net. And we wanted to go ahead just for the hell of it here and do just maybe like an hour or less live stream, maybe to just introduce everybody and remind everyone that we are still here. We had some major new developments come along, and then it's just been dead this tropical season. You know, we backed off on severe weather in June, took July and August to get ready, and then we haven't had really anything to deploy on. So we're just going to kind of go over some of our technology, kind of reintroduce it a little bit, and give us, a video or kind of a central thing that we can point people toward if they have questions. So welcome, folks. We're on several social media platforms right now. And remember, you folks go to projectweathereye.org. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, I see it hasn't updated. I think it will update at midnight, but I've made sure we've got all of our team members' social media links on there if you want to follow. Otherwise, I'm going to get into real quick, just kind of, I guess, housekeeping stuff that I wanted to go over. But give me one second because um, my I'm on the wrong screen here. So first and foremost, folks, one thing I just want to mention right off the bat, what we're trying to do here, we're deploying cameras and live streaming weather instrumentation in the path of severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, hurricanes, wildfires, pretty much it floods, anything that we can. We're trying to create an ad hoc or a mobile network that can be placed and moved quickly. Yes, it's supplemented with our storm chasers or really storm chasers in general, but unless you have 100 storm chasers, you know, that are willing to risk their lives in places that maybe it's not safe to. Like, for example, when we try to put one of our units in the path of a tornado, I really highly doubt that any of us are going to volunteer to destroy our cars and get the car totaled by blowing it up in a tornado. We can spare a device, but we can't spare a car and obviously a person's life. So that's kind of where this project came from. This also gives emergency managers, public safety officials, and obviously the general public something really nice to be able to look at when they want to know what's coming. We can create a wall of Project WeatherEye equipment. For example, I'm looking at radar right now, and there's some storms coming out of New Mexico. We could have a line of these cameras set up ahead of these storms and staggered every step of the way, and we would know just what's going on, where they're going, and live visuals from them. So Project WeatherEye has been evolving over the past 2 years, and it's really ramped up these past few months, and it's changed a lot over the past 6 months. Aiden is the only, actually Zach has one too. So yeah. Aiden and Zach are the only ones right now that have, and if my mic dies, let me know, that have the old style units that are being phased out. So Aiden's going to show us one of the old ones here in a minute. I'm going to show you one of the new ones, and we've got different types of equipment. I don't know if John is on here or not. I haven't looked. I actually can't see in the room, but John does his own thing with like tornado probes. So if he's going to talk about those, he's welcome to. So there's a lot of folks here that they're are pretty smart when it comes to things. So that's kind of out of the way. What we're going to do in this live stream, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring on some of our folks. I don't know how many it's going to let me bring on at a time, but we're going to start bringing on some people so you can see everybody behind the scenes. The project demonstration. I'm going to go ahead, guys. I've got RDD number 1 set up in my driveway right now, filming my mailbox that's been run over by the snowplow 25 times. So if you want to go see the world's most ghetto mailbox, go ahead and see it. It's live in Radar Omega and Cycrad. We're going to explain the new Cycrad app, which is the free way to view Project WeatherEye. I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the highlights from the year, and then we will do a Radar Omega demonstration at the end here. After that, we're going to run down the list, and let's see. I got Aiden and Zach. I think are on here. So that's when we're going to compare the old units to the new units, because Zach was with us when we did that kind of botched severe weather deployment. Basically, what happened is we ended up just not getting. It was the end of May. We were out. We intended to just put these devices all over the place, and we did, but we just didn't end up with the right setups for it. But he was with for that, and I'm sure he's got something to say about it. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and talk about our hurricane plans real quick, and then we'll do our upcoming severe weather deployment plans, because we're actually planning a big thing for next year. And then we're going to open this up for like a panel discussion. If any of our field team members or behind the scenes members want to talk about anything, or if you guys want to ask us questions, you're welcome to. And then before we close out, I'm going to hit the Radar Omega demo to show you guys. Cycrad and Radar Omega, they go hand in hand, but we're just going to break that up to not bore people. So I'm going to go ahead and try to bring people in. I'm working on it. Let's see here. Oh, Jesus. God help me. Oh boy. Uh, okay. Yep. I'm working on it. Okay. Zach's in here. We got Zach. David's in here. Aiden's in here. Okay. How do I add everybody else in here? Lisa's in here. Evan's in here. Shane's in here. Keenan's in here. Ann's in here. All right. So I'm assuming everybody probably started muted. If you've got, we'll probably have to all unmute. So yeah, Zach's got his camera all set up there. That's cute. Wow, somebody's doing their job today. I was late because I actually forgot about this. But this is a small part of our team, folks. A lot of these men and women you don't see because they're working behind the scenes, and there's probably 3 times as many that you're not seeing on here. So I'm going to go ahead and start watching the chat a little bit. And you folks, if you've got questions or whatever, put them in. But I guess we'll go ahead and if anybody here wants to say anything, or if anybody's got questions for anyone here, we'll go ahead and hit that. And then we'll probably bounce over to me, Aiden, and Zach, and we'll talk about the dumpster fire in May. I know Evan just looks like he's you're in St. Louis now, right? Like you moved.
Yeah, I'm up in St. Louis now.
Yeah, you're like 5 hours away. I could just come down there and pay a visit.
Yeah, not too far.
So are we still calling Evan Florida man or what?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's Missouri man now.
Yeah, we've got folks from all over the place. Aiden's typing something Oh, Aiden says for whatever reason I can't hear any audio through Restream, so I'm having to get audio through this stream. Awesome. Yeah, he's got that look of like disappointment on his face right now. He's just like, I'm really pissed at my computer. Like I totally get it. Like Keenan's just out there like walking through the park. David, what the heck are you doing? Are you like driving down I-95 or something?
No, I'm just surfing down the local road. I actually got out of something a little later than I wanted to, so I'm actually driving home right now, and it's about an hour drive.
Yeah, last time I saw David, he had two flat tires in the. No, actually, no, I did see you after that. That was
Yeah, it was
we
in
had
Ian.
yeah, we had an interesting experience in Hurricane Ida together. He ended up with two flat tires, and um, there was a drunk guy, and it took him to get tire plugs or something, and I wasn't sure if he was coming back.
Yeah, it was that guy that we met over there at the fire department that took us over there, the fire chief. Yeah, that was.
Oh God,
I still remember everything to this day. Oh my gosh, this car's got like I've got like a whole bunch of them in this thing right here. I've got like 40 plugs now, so that ain't happening again.
is it the same car?
Yeah, it's the same car. Yep.
Oh God. Okay, well we're all screwed this year because that thing's bad luck.
Oh,
Um,
don't worry. This car has cleansed itself since then. Thankfully, I think all the bad luck has been scraped out of it now. No more Ida ick going on with it now.
yeah, that was something else. I tell you what.
Mhm. It still memorable. Well, you can say that. At least it was a memorable chase.
Yeah, you guys are going to see more of David. He's out in Eastern North Carolina, and he's I've known David for several years, and he's pretty smart and very capable. So we're going to use David here as part of the field team and support staff if needed. But folks, obviously, if you haven't put the two and two together, you've all met Zach. Zach's live streaming this on his channels also. You can go follow him. His link's already on the website. So be sure to go follow these folks here that are part of our field team. Don't just don't just think that following me or anything is going to do them any good. So be sure to seek these people out because they all do a lot of good work here. Um, we're gonna bounce over and then open this panel up, I guess. I'm gonna go to this next scene, which I think is actually going to kick everybody out except for Aiden, me, and Zach automatically. So let's see if it does. Well, it's partially doing it automatically. Or is somebody doing that for me? I don't know. Okay, Aiden, do you have audio now? Definitely not.
I got you.
Okay, that's fine. Zach's here. Aiden's gonna just sit there. That's fine. We're gonna keep him on. Yeah, we don't even have your audio either, but we're gonna keep you on screen anyway because this is great. So I'm gonna put up real quick I'm just gonna let this play in the background. Some of our highlight clips from this. What was the? I don't know. Jesus, Zach, when was this? When were we out? Was that was the end of May, right?
Yeah, it was the last week of May and the first 10 days of June or something like that.
Yeah. So Zach was with us when we had our, I guess, kind of debut when it comes to severe weather live streaming with Project WeatherEye. We were okay. Aiden's gonna restart his computer. Awesome. Okay. Anyway, well, so we did a lot in kind of a short period of time, but I think the highlight of that whole month was that whatever we got on that number six, we had like a flooding event or something, and then you had to
Yeah, the
walk in
big
your flip
hail.
flops or something. Yeah, that was something. Let me tell you. I think that's actually in this. I'm trying to get this set up. There we go. What the frick is going? Go like this? Yeah, sure, whatever. So we'll just let this play through. I'm going to go ahead and actually find that. But folks, this is kind of what we're doing with Project Weather Eye. Um, yeah, look at that. I mean, it was way cooler in person. I mean, yeah, whatever. But
I don't know. Walking through it wasn't as fun.
yeah, because that was the road there, like, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
off
the road.
to the right of that camera. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the road. So this was a day in May where I don't know. It was just all we got was Lubbock stuff, and I remember we were just getting pelted with everything. Yeah, this was actually, I think this was from the same day. This might even be that camera. But we just ended up with nothing but hail and a bunch of wind and like gustnadoes everywhere, but then like these little flooding issue or events. And like the whole day was just kind of like trashed with these deployments. And then next thing you know, like Zach's like, "Oh my God, I just deployed it on this mud road." And like it ended up being like one of the best things I think we've ever gotten. Um, I'm gonna go
Yeah,
ahead and scrub through the front of this. No, go ahead. Sorry, I'm talking to
you're
myself.
fine. That was just that was a very fun game of beat the clock with the hail coming in.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, and we can get into this later too, where for this next year, we've talked about this internally and like for the audience folks, we've really been talking about how can we do this where we're not running around like idiots. And that's going to come from using these tropical cameras that we're going to build and we're going to show you in a little bit. Um, we need to get those out ahead of time and then use these like shorter lifespan RDDs with the shorter battery life. We need to use those more as like, tornado probes versus trying to see a squall line, because doing this stuff at the last minute has been incredibly hard and time consuming. Like this video that's playing right now was actually the beginning of May, but this was obviously a tornado by Abilene, no, Colleen, Waco, and this was a nightmare to deploy on. That's Matt Capucci running his arms up. But we deployed on this like 2 or 3 times, and it was a nightmare trying to get anything in position with a slow moving tornado like that. You would think a slow moving tornado would be easier, but it's not. It's actually the fast moving ones because you can kind of judge where it's going and it doesn't have time to change on you. But we're going to be doing a lot more of this, and that's going to lead me into what we're going to get at here um, in a minute. Zach's actually got the. We'll actually get into it now. Aiden's whatever. He's like he'll figure it out. Just trust me. He might be. It might be 5 minutes to the end of the stream, but he's going to be back, and he's going to have a comment about his computer, and he's going to tell us what he thinks of it. But Zach's got the old RDD, so that's number 6. Are you able to like open that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So in there, that's an orange Pi and basically a battery and a cellular modem. That's basically how we were doing these old RDDs, and then just whatever IP camera we wanted to put on there. Whether some of them were IP cameras, some were USB cameras. It didn't really matter. Just whatever camera went into that. And these things had like between like a 7 and a 13 hour battery life, which was fine initially, but then we started running into these things where like this was happening, what's on screen up here, where we're like, you know what, maybe we should just go get this tomorrow. And it would make so much more sense to just have the thing run for like a day and a half, 2 days. So now we have devices that can run for a couple of days. I mean, we've got our long duration units, but then we've also got the new revamped RDDs, which I'm going to put on screen as soon as I figure out how to do this, to airdrop it over here. Um, those now run, I think it's like 38 hours. So that's damn near a solid 2 days, which is going to help us out a lot. There it is. Okay, so I can go like, son of a gun, guys. I'm worse. Jesus, you'd think that this would be easy. I guess I'm learning that there's more to this. Holy smokes.
I see that somebody said that a good ratchet strap would help. That's actually what we use is ratchet straps.
Yeah, just not Aiden's ratchet strap. Oh boy. Some of you guys get it. But yeah, we've actually I think I found some and they were expensive, but I will gladly eat the cost of the expensive ratchet strap to actually have a working ratchet strap. Because that was not fun. I just remember you being on the radio and Zach's just like, "Oh, I'm just freaking fighting with this ratchet strap." It's like, whatever, man.
Yeah, that was with the regular ratchet straps. That was a nightmare. I didn't cut it to size, so it was like 15 feet long. It was horrible.
Yeah, we took a trip to Tractor Supply just to find these like special ratchet straps, and I look like such an idiot because I'm like, "Oh yeah, we got to get these special ratchet straps," and we showed up and they didn't have like anything. But this is our new one,
Dude,
so that's we just went to Pelican Case. What are you doing, you stupid thing? I swear to God. Like I know how to use a computer. I promise. I know how to use a computer. Um, okay. That's cool. Uh oh Lord. We're so screwed here. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. So here's our new one. You saw that picture. Here's the guts of it. I probably could have just brought this into the office now to come to think about it, but that's what our new one looks like. So this is the internals, and I kind of foreshadowed this the other day. Um, there we go. So I'll make that bigger. So that's our one of our new ones. So the problems that we had were battery life and portability. So the ones like what Zach's got there was a lot involved in that. We had to drill holes, seal holes, all stuff like that. This, we only have to drill three holes, one for the camera pass through and then two to bolt the camera to it. So we're using an IP camera that is not real, it's white label. So this is an Amcrest IP camera, but it's not actually I was able to find these. So you can get this IP camera on Amazon for like 65 bucks. I was able to find it on Alibaba or AliExpress, whatever that whatever website is where you get stuff from China that's like Newegg. I was able to find the camera that so Amcrest apparently doesn't make this camera. They buy this camera, and when you buy it, it's a dummy. It has no firmware on it. So we were actually able to make firmware for this camera to do what we need to do when it comes to network bonding and SRT. So instead of using like IP connections to a server or RTMP, we can do what Zach's box is doing, that those old RDDs with the bonding, we can do that with these in the camera. So the camera is the encoder. The camera is the only technology on this minus the cellular modems. So that is the new RDD. That thing has a handle. It weighs like 8 pounds. It's easier to strap because it's just it's a better, more refined design. And obviously this is the internals. So we've got two batteries. These are really strange. They're definitely Chinese. Like the lettering on them is all like Chinese characters. They clearly came over here. Because I say that because I've never seen batteries like this from the US. These are not 10 amp hour LIFE PO4 batteries. These are 12 amp hour, which I don't even really think exists officially. And I thought it was a marketing thing. So I bought one of those battery testers and we tested the capacity. These are actually 12 amp hours. So we got 24 amp hours of battery in here, and they are lithium iron phosphate for whatever they are. Um, so they last longer. We need about like I said, almost 40 hours. Two cellular modems. This is it. So when this gets damaged, flooded, hit by a tornado, we're not out. We weren't out a lot of money with the old ones, but we were out a lot of time. We're not out a lot of time with this. All it takes to build one of these is taking a couple of these wire pieces, crimping some spade terminals on, doing some crappy solder work with a torch and some zip ties and drilling some holes, and there you go. That's it. So this is what we've gone to. And that's what we've got out on the fence post out there if you go look in Radar Mega or SciCrad. But this is what every single one is going to be. And this is actually just a junior version of our tropical like hurricane cameras, which we'll show you here in a minute. I think Aiden came back on. Hang on. Yeah, Aiden's back on.
Can
Okay,
you
I
guys
think
hear
I
me
hear
now?
Aiden. Oh yeah, hey, look at that.
All right, perfect. I made
All
it.
right, so I actually didn't put this in the agenda, but uh, we need to really touch on this. This is important. Aiden, what is the number one pain in the rear end with the old design? And I know what he's going to say, but I just need your opinion.
Number one pain in the old design would be strapping them to a pole.
Exactly. So we used to use these ratchet straps it wasn't a ratchet strap, it was like a lash strap. God, I wish I had one. You like threaded the thing through it, it was spring loaded. And what I don't remember where it was. Was it North Dakota that Spirit Wood Day where you were just like you blew a gas? I mean, I blew a gasket too. But like you think you blew a gasket because you couldn't get something strapped to something. Or where that there was a turning point in this design where we were like, okay, enough is enough. And like Aiden was at the forefront of this fight for a different strap.
That was a ways back. That was one of those Arkansas days.
Oh, that's right. Yep, we had the that was the day of the overpass.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more that earlier that afternoon of that incident. That, yeah.
So, side note for entertainment value, That was the day where Aiden's on the radio. There was a tornado coming at us, and like we would have been in a bad spot. You know, we were on and under an overpass that people had parked under to shelter from the rain that wasn't even happening. It was like clear skies almost. And we're like, if we don't get through here, we honestly might be in some serious trouble. Like we could get killed. So I get like, he's like, they're not moving. And I'm like, oh, hell, they're going to move. So I come up to him. I get out of the car and I go bang on this guy's window. And I'm like, dude, there's a tornado coming. It's right there. If you don't move your car, like everybody's going to get hit by this tornado. And he's like, well, they're not moving. And I said, okay, well, then leave them here. You go up there with us and don't die. And he's like arguing with me. And I said, honestly, man, I'm going to push you off the road if you don't move your car. And he moved his car and went up the road. But thank God, because I mean, I think the tornado died out, but like if it would have been down, it would have taken us all out. And it might have been because of that ratchet strap. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it was definitely the ratchet strap. That's the only reason.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, man. But yeah, that's our kind of
Marked
our
tree,
rundown.
that's what it was. Marked
Marked
tree,
tree.
Arkansas.
Yeah, because wasn't that the high risk?
I think so.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah. I did any of us, we all screwed up that day, didn't we?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
That was the day we crossed the Mississippi River like 6 times.
Yeah, that was the worst day of my life. I was so pissed. I mean, there was no hiding it on that day.
No, we
That's
jumped
ridiculous.
in after the prefrontals, and that's the one time it wasn't the prefrontal.
Yeah, and then we were that. You know what? I'm thinking of two different nights. There was the moderate risk and then the high risk, because the high risk I think was the night that we went up the river on the Tennessee side, and Aiden about went to the wrong gas station.
That was the high
Yeah.
risk. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into
Oh,
that
I'm not going
story
to that
another
one.
time, because we're gonna get it. That's gonna be something that's gonna have to be revisited, like in something at the end of the year of like our biggest mistake, and we might have nearly got Aiden put in some trouble because there was definitely some illegal activity going on at the gas station. I'm kind of glad we passed by it. So that was something, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Side note, this was actually our first, I think one of our first tornadoes that we got. This was like somewhere in Texas, but it was trash. Oh no, this was Arkansas, because there's
No,
that.
that's
Or no,
Missouri.
this was Missouri.
Sykeston, yeah.
Yeah, there was that one. That one was kind of screwed up on that one too, because if I remember right, we were driving away from it, and then somebody said there was a tornado back there, and we turned around.
Yeah, Shaw started yelling that there was a tornado, so we spun back around.
That's right. Daniel was on the radio. He was like, "Guys, I'm driving to a tornado," and I'm just like, "What are you talking about? There's no tornado." And like, I turn around, and I'm like, "Yeah, we got to turn around. There's a tornado right there." This was the Spiritwood day. I don't know what happened, but something's on the lens. That's a big tornado over there. I'm really irritated about this because something clearly got blown on the lens. But yeah, this was the day that I thought was the coming to Jesus moment with the ratchet strap. But no, that was definitely Mark's tree. That was the coming to Jesus day when we had a problem with the stream, because both of our streams went down.
Oh, yeah. I was so mad at that one.
Let me see here. That's pretty much what I had, unless you guys had anything else. But like, that's really what I had for basically us just talking about how we're going to change to these new devices, because those were fine and they got us going. But like, we had water intrusion problems with them. Like, they just weren't. That wasn't. We were going to end up getting PO'd at those way more than we should have. Like, I think we kind of had to change. All right, so I got. All right, so this next one, it's going to dump everybody off, and it's going to take me to a solo scene. So we're going to get back, and we're going to get to the fun part with the panelists here in just a minute. But we're going to go ahead and take a real quick look at Cycrad, because you guys can follow along with this. This is how you guys can see, in addition to Radar Omega, the Project WeatherEye stuff. So when you go to cycrad.app, you can download something on your phone too. Basically, the web version is going to be the same as your phone. So when you go to cycrad.app, you're going to have this launch web app. Clearly, you launched the web app, right? It's pretty common sense right there. You're going to get something that looks like this, and there's a couple of different ways to get around this free software. This is real easy. So all these blue icons and stuff, these are live cameras. Those are the cyclone port cameras. Um, those are toggled on down here in the bottom. Oops, I think I'm covering that up, aren't I? Hold on. I can get that off of there because I need to get my name off of there, or we are going to have serious problems. I don't know how to get that off of there. Oh, son of a gun, guys. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Definitely learning some new technology here, so bear with me. Down here in the bottom right, we've got a couple of icons. This one on the left, that turns your radar data on and off. This one here, the triangle, those are your warnings and watches, weather alerts. The little lollipop icon looks like a Wi-Fi signal. That turns on and off cyclone port. You can see turning them on and off there. So if you want to remove them, if it's just too cluttered, just take them off. It's no big deal. And then the little 3 dots that looks like a network, that actually turns on and off Project WeatherEye and like probes. So here I'll do a demo here. So now you see it, now you don't. And it is its own independent layer. You can open Project WeatherEye and it's right there, and you can resize the windows if you want to do that. But there it is. Disregard the time. I apparently didn't set the time sync on the device, but there you have it. It's that easy and it's free. If you want to see storm chasers, you would click on the little car icon, and that brings up the Radar Omega storm chasers or Project WeatherEye storm chasers, obviously. And then this little blue icon, or the little blue icon, round icon, that's just your location. A couple easy ways. We're going to whiz right through this. There's nothing to it. To get around in this app, you've got different modes down here. So down in the bottom right, you've got composite mode. We can take that and go into single site mode. But before we do that, composite mode is just the entire country. It's all the radar sites put together. It's lower resolution, just like anything. Any of the national radar composites, doesn't matter where it's from. Baron, Viper, AccuWeather, it doesn't matter. It's always going to be lower resolution. There's a lot of smoothing and there's a lot of data loss because you're taking all these single sites and you're sticking them together, and it's a large. It's lower resolution, but it gives you an idea of, oh, hey, there's storms down here. And if you're a novice, if you really don't care about using the radar or don't really know anything about using the radar, this is fine. You can leave it in composite mode. If you want to use single site mode, that's going to give you high resolution radar. So we're going to pick the closest radar site to our severe thunderstorm warnings here in southeast New Mexico. And there we go right there. We've got level or super res level 2 and 3 data. It's storm on near Carlsbad. I would actually like to be on that one. I'm actually upset that I'm not out today. But you can go over here where it says high res reflectivity and go to velocity. You can go to hydrometeor classification to look at hail, echo tops. All of these things that you're going to need are in this app. And something I should have touched on with composite mode, you don't have any options other than the reflectivity. So composite mode, that's going to be just your rain. If you need like the 24-hour rotation tracks or something, you're going to need like Radar Omega for that. Mesoscale mode, because people have been asking, this is kind of geared toward the tropics. So the weather services and NOAA, they drop out these little mesoscale satellite sectors, higher resolution sectors of satellite imagery. You can see an icon here. That's basically just indicating that, hey, there's a sector centered on that. So you're not getting full disk or full CONUS disk satellite. You're getting basically just the high resolution sectors. If you want that full disk or whatever, you're going to need obviously like Radar Omega to do that. But this is going to be great for hurricane tracking because they'll always keep those centered. Now, something to mind you too over here on the left, here's your settings, weather alert settings. When you first open this and load it, every weather alert is going to be turned on, like heat advisories, and you might not want that. You're going to have to go through here and turn on and off what you want and don't want. Customize it, no problem. Severe weather, if you go to severe weather outlooks, you can turn on like the slight risks. You can go into settings, just like Radar Omega. You can go into settings and change all sorts of stuff. The same with mesoscale discussions. Tropical weather. If there was an active storm, you could click on it, turn the cone on, see the forecast cone, and the cyclone port dashboard. I'm on a really goofy browser, right there it is. So you can actually see by state the devices that are loaded, which is pretty cool if you just want to look at a rundown. Because like it's very heavy concentration here in the southeast. So that's kind of a basic rundown of Cycrad. It is a free app. And that's where we're basically dumping all of our data into, of course, with Radar Omega as well. So if anybody has questions about that, you can bring them in. We'll start really watching the chat here shortly. Let's see here. I thought I saw a question about that. Let's see. How do I zoom out of it? Zoom out of what? If you're on if you're talking about the map on your phone, you just pinch to zoom. If you're on desktop, you can just use the scroll wheel. Like just use your mouse or trackpad, like just basically just normal gestures, if that's what you meant. I'm not sure that's what you meant or not, but so that's how you're going to be able to view these. Super simple. If you don't want to look at Cyclone Port, you don't care about storm chasers, and you just want Project WeatherEye, just toggle on the 3 dots, and anytime we have a Project WeatherEye device at all out, that's where it's going to be. Super easy. So I think that's awesome, and the folks developing that did a fantastic job. I'm really happy with this. We're going to do the Radar Omega demo a little bit later on, because that may or may not be of interest to our audience here, but we did our RDD discussion. So folks, we're going to bring on our core team here, and they're all welcome to jump in. We're going to start opening this up a little bit here, and we're going to talk about kind of future plans. So I don't know how to do this. Your guess is as good as mine. Remove. Okay, cool. That's fine. Oh no, there we go. Hey, we're working. Okay, Zach's adjusting his hat. Okay, Evan, David, Aiden, Keenan, and Shane. Okay, who the hell else here? Screen sharing. No. Okay, so I'm gonna put chat on screen as well. So I guess I'll start this off by saying we're planning on, and Evan can back me up on this. We've gotten from a project perspective, because this has been all about our internal chat. Has literally been, it's been me, Aiden, and Evan complaining about not having anything to do, and then Evan's like, "Oh my God, there's showers happening in Florida." I'm like, "Yeah, wow, it's a slow weather week," when we're like, "Oh my God, Florida's getting rain." So,
Right.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, see, it's not just me that thinks this. That's why I have help here. But I'm proving to you folks, we have absolutely been hosed in chances of deploying on anything over the past month. And that's not really a bad thing, because that means we don't have hurricanes hitting us. But we were really expecting to have like maybe 1 or 2 hurricanes under our belt by now. We did all this work. We built, you know, 50 to 80 devices all together, and then up to 100 with the supplementals. Like, we've got all these pieces of equipment, and they're just sitting on my back porch right now. And it's like, God, you're like, I'm really glad that I was in such a hurry to do this, for this to not happen. So what we're talking about going into hurricane season, what our plan is, folks, we're going to take our team, we're going to get into these areas, these hurricane zones, and we're going to deploy these in waves. We're going to put out a wave of cameras, maybe put out 20, and then, like 3 days ahead of time. And then as we approach, so we can really hone in on that, we're going to start deploying another wave, and then another wave. And then we might even use the RDDs during a storm. So we're going to deploy these in waves. And I think it's going to work out really well. So like, you're going to see a lot of these folks out, whether they're behind a desk or if they're actually out with us. But chat, now's your chance. I guess, what questions do you have? What suggestions do you have? Because we're going to open this up and talk about what we can do here, what you guys want to see. Like, we want to know what you want to see from us. Is there something that we could do that you think we might not have thought about that maybe we should be doing? Why is Cycred bot on screen but not in chat? Because that's something I developed. That's not like part of the app or anything. I don't know. Does anybody know? Like, Evan, you're our climatologist person here most of the time. When's our hurricane coming? Because we've thought we were going to get a hurricane like 4 times now, and like this last one totally screwed us. I mean, it just died.
Yeah, it's
Confluence
been a
ban.
tricky season. Yeah, confluence ban, of course. That's an inside joke. But yeah, it's been a tricky season to forecast, especially hurricanes. Not just hurricanes. Severe weather season was kind of a doozy too. But yeah, like we thought coming into this year's hurricane season, we're going to have, above average season. All the predictions from, I think it was Colorado State University and the different universities and organizations that do their predictions were saying it was going to be pretty active. And, we're now in mid-September, and we've only had pretty much one notable storm, and that was Hurricane Aaron, Category 5, but that was a recurve. Didn't really make it had some impacts, but was definitely not what you typically are expecting for a pretty average hurricane season. And that's pretty atypical, and it's been really kind of hard to forecast because we did have I think one or two different little tropical waves that were kind of forecast to become something, and then they just didn't. And part of that is due to some subseasonal stuff like stability out in the Atlantic and some wind shear concerns, dry air. But it's just really not typical. It's kind of been a very weird season so far, but we are expecting that to at least start to change as we move into late September and early October with maybe a Central American gyre pattern setting up. That's where you have some favorable conditions for hurricanes setting up over the Central American region, Caribbean, that kind of area, maybe into the Gulf. But yeah, I'm gonna stop babbling here. But yeah, I think we're gonna start to see that pattern and the more favorable tropical conditions start to materialize here as we get later into this month. So I guess just keep an eye on that. But we've all been watching, and it's been a very weird season so far, I do have to say.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think part of the reason that we've having trouble in the Atlantic, I think they said is because part of the reason I've seen is that it's been actually drier over to where the waves have been forming over in like Eastern Africa. The pattern has been drier there, so the waves have been able to establish themselves before they get offshore. And then there's also been a higher than average like sea level pressure going out throughout the Eastern Atlantic as well, which has been causing storms to struggle to like develop lower pressures, actually get a good spin going. And then the storm isn't able to break away essentially from his background environment. That's at least what I've been seeing. I do actually concur about the Central American gyres too. Like that's definitely probably our next bet is we're going to see anything is something coming off the gyre, especially if it happens to line up with the MJO or the Magellan oscillation lining up here and phasing into the Atlantic. You definitely got a good chance with something there for sure.
Yep, definitely agree. And that should be lining up hopefully by the end of this month, maybe into October. So I'm thinking we might be seeing more of a backloaded season, kind of like last year. I'm not sure in terms of severity it will rival last year, but at least the timing should sort of line up to something like last year.
Meanwhile, the Pacific Basin's like spinning up something every other day.
Right.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that. It's like maybe we need to go get a barge and like float it out in the middle of the ocean because it's been like constant something over there. It's like, I mean, we obviously we don't want to see, Tampa Bay get slammed with a Category 5 or anything, but it's one of those things that, like the audience has to understand. Like we're not hoping for like all this destruction, but we literally have a business around a business service, whatever, around documenting the weather, and we really haven't had anything to document on our first year of having the tools to do it. And we've literally just been sitting, like we've geared up like 4 times, especially with this last one that was this 91L that just that crapped out. It had 90% probs of forming, and then like 2 new runs came in after that. We got Hurricane Hunter recon on it, and the models had just dropped off the models. And Hurricane Center was basically like, LOL. Sorry, which understandably so, because we all thought it was going to form. We thought it was going to be more of a, hey, where's this going to go? Not, is this even going to form? And like we were putting things in place.
Yeah.
We were ready to drive down there. I was about ready to start packing the truck, and then it just died. And we're all sitting here like, what?
That's me being me. I did start packing.
Yeah, and that.
I was gonna say another thing I've noticed: the models have been really they've been really trying to form stuff when it doesn't really coagulate. Because even before 91L, there was the storm that everyone was calling Hurricane Gabrielle, and that didn't do anything either. So like, there's been a bunch of this recurring pattern of models forming storms when they're still in Africa, particularly the GFS, forming storms that just come off Africa, and then it gives us like, wait, is this actually going to do something? And then it gets out by the time it's over at like the 30 to 40 degrees west. That's when we start seeing all the downtrends, and we're like, back to the drawing boards.
Yeah, and we always want to have something. If we're going to get something, we would prefer it to come out of the MDR, which anybody doesn't know, the main development region. Basically, like the central Atlantic, because we would prefer to have something, and this, we really haven't had a landfalling one come out of there for a while, but when we get these storms that spin up like in the Gulf or the Caribbean, or basically, when we only have like 5 to 7 days of notice, it's really hard to react when you've got a storm coming from 10 days out. You can start getting ready, and it's like you still might, 10 days out, you might not know. I don't know if that's going to hit us or not, but at least there's a storm there, so you can start like moving assets, because we got a lot to move, guys. We've got the team here plus 12 to 15 more, and we've got 100, if not more, like individual pieces of equipment, and then you count fuel cans and ladders, and we have to worry about lodging and logistics of getting people to fly on airplanes and out here, and possibly rental cars and stuff. That's a lot to do. And if we get something like Francine last year that spun up in, well, basically just south of the Gulf, and we only have a few days where we were thinking, oh, it might be a tropical storm, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, might be a Cat 2 or a 3. It's like, well, we didn't really, we weren't doing this back then, but if that was the case, that's why we have to send everything. We have to go full on with this, because we could have something that doesn't look impressive, but because there's such a short time to react, we could have a storm here in a few days if it forms up from the CAG, or comes in through the Caribbean, or we get just a freak accident that spins up on the East Coast. It might not even be a tropical much of anything other than a flooding producer, but like, we've got to really keep our eyes on this. That's been a stressful year, because we've been at a 9 out of 10 thinking we're going to do something, and then you flush it down the drain, and it's like, awesome, glad we all canceled our plans for that, which, whatever, it's part of it, I guess.
I think I got a question here from Trigger. What are the challenges you have with keeping an eye on your computer screens and giving Vince the best real-time opinion for his chasing while keeping him safe? Well, yeah, that's a good point. I do have to kind of micromanage a bit. Although I feel, Vince, you're very good at keeping yourself safe and not getting into bad positions. Like, I don't want to take any credit for like making you narrowly avoid a tornado or something, but yeah, it is kind of a multitasker nightmare, because you have to get on comms, you have to look at your radar, your meso analysis, your conditions in the area, what the tornado is doing once it's actually on the ground, because you can have tornadoes that are really deviant and like to occlude or do some weird thing, and that's really hard, and you got to communicate that effectively, because sometimes that's life or death out there. But I don't think we've really had any seriously bad situations, at least recently. But yeah, it's a bit of a challenge, but you just got to learn to like kind of multitask and make sure you're not missing any information, really.
Yeah, especially when there's a lot of us out, because like we're all talking back and forth, and that's one of the things we're gonna have to deal with hurricanes, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of us, and like we have to manage each other too. We've got some cool systems too. Like, we've got a lot coming that you guys haven't seen that we're not really releasing until it's time, but we've put a lot of work into the back end of this, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that we've got a studio broadcast coming for this, and also like logistics stuff. So like, guys are gonna be able to see all this too, and watch us make many mistakes, and somehow sweep them under the rug and still look like we know what we're doing. But yeah, it's with this project, it requires me or anybody out here who's doing this to almost take their eyes and their focus off of what they're doing a little bit, and trust somebody else for part of what they're doing, whether they're in the car or on the radio somewhere else. Because when you're out putting up one of these cameras like in front of a tornado, and you've got 45 seconds to do it, but you get out and that tornado is right there, well, you can't really go off the live stream, because there might be a 30-second delay, but there might be a new radar scan that comes in with a merger here, and okay, maybe that's going to steer it or someplace. You have to put a little bit of trust in it, because you're not watching the tornado. Like, we've learned that watching the tornado, you're not watching the hail core. Like, you need somebody to say, okay, hey, the hail core just blew up, forget the camera, leave, or point it the other way. And that's kind of the the struggle we have with doing this remotely, because obviously what we're seeing as field members, team members on the ground, is going to be significantly ahead of what people on the back end are going to see. Like, my stream's got like a 5-second delay, but still that 5-second delay, like, if someone's saying, hey, move the camera more to the left, I might have already moved it more to the right. or back to the left even more. And like we're trying to work on how some of this works, but it's just I kind of like that question because like that applies to so much of what we're doing, where it's been a learning process. I mean, when we first started doing this, we kind of just drove around, but we've all gotten pretty good at it lately. Even when we have like, because we've had like me, Aiden, and Zach out, and like we've all been able to kind of space stuff out, like even with just the three of us out here going back and forth. So it's been an experience.
Also, I do want to answer a question that somebody asked about how the transitory period we're in right now between El Nino and La Nina might be affecting the seasons. So yes, it does affect the Pacific. It actually affects really worldwide essentially, because all weather is basically just the static equilibrium of trying to, balance out what's going on different sides of the planet. So yes, everything like El Nino will definitely affect here too, as well as it will out in the Pacific. It usually has an opposite effect. So right now, if we're in the transitory period, it's like the neutral phase, which usually can favor storms for the Atlantic as well. But it's like what Evan was mentioning earlier with the subseasonal stuff. That also plays into effect here too, because they can also make or break that seasonal stuff that the Enzo does, the El Nino La Nina. So just to answer that question, yes, they do make a difference. It's just right now the subseasonal stuff is making it so that the Atlantic right now is not as favorable. But generally, a neutral pattern can either make or break an Atlantic season. It just depends on the subseasonal factors that go on. And then you've also got, like we mentioned before, the Matt and Julian oscillation. That also helps to like create more lift in an area, a concentrated area as well. And that also helps with getting storms activated, like, fueling the storms essentially. So yeah, just to answer that question, it does make a difference. It's just right now with all the negative factors going against it, the neutral isn't really making much of a difference. We're just basically keeping an eye on whether the waves off of Africa are healthy, whether the higher than normal sea level pressures off of like African coast in the MDR region are actually going to either lower or they're going to correct themselves. Because we definitely had the sea surface temperatures to get storms going. That's the thing. That has not been an issue all year. We have definitely had no problems with sea surface temperatures, especially in the Gulf of Mexico and in the Gulf Stream regions. We have had no issues there. Even the MDR itself is rather warm as well, a little bit warmer than average.
That's
the
been the
Gulf is
news
cooking.
story the past year. Yeah, I mean, past couple of years, like that's been the headline. Just it's hot.
Yep.
But
But it does help to.
No, go ahead,
You
David.
go
I
ahead.
was talking to myself again.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say but another thing is too that it also does prove that just because you have warmer than average sea surface temperatures doesn't necessarily mean that you'll always have more storms. Because like these little intraseasonal factors that can go on that can either make or break a system. Because I mean, sea surface temperature is just one of the factors. Another major thing that can also play into it is shear, and shear can kill a hurricane. I mean, depending on where the shear is orientated. If it's following parallel to the storm in the same direction, then generally it can actually help because it actually helps with venting the storm, making the outflow and more healthy, which is the case has actually happened before. But generally, shear usually kills a hurricane, so that also plays into the factor as well. So because you can actually have more shear, more storms with potentially stronger shear, which can then actually weaken a hurricane. It's not like tornadoes where more shear is usually better.
Yeah, and the past couple of years, a lot of folks. I'll make a comment on that too. Like a lot of folks have gotten used to just hurricanes all the time, and it's kind of sort of been that way for the past several years. But it's not uncommon for us to have vacancies and hurricane landfalls. So if we do get, I don't want to say hosed this year, but I mean, if we do end up without a hurricane hitting the coast, it's not like it's super unheard of. A lot of folks think that it might be, but it's really not. But we'll probably get something, and I'm sure it will be with little to no warning, because that's usually how this works. If I was doing my homework, which was what I was going to say, I was going to go grab one of those hurricane units, but I need to walk out there, and I don't want to do that because I'm really lazy. Because trying to not let the cat out the door is a thing. But this is a perfect time to touch on like our hurricane units, folks. We've got the RDD unit that I showed you earlier. Our hurricane units are those, but with like 7 to 10 day battery life. and that's basically it. But we want to put dozens of these things out, and you guys can probably understand the amount of stress that there is too when these cones are back and forth. And the best we can do is just try to focus our deployment in the cone. But we saw this with Ian, where the cone was up here, and then we all went to bed, and we wake up the next morning, and it's 75 miles south, and that's not necessarily like an accuracy problem or a hurricane center problem or a model problem. That's more of a these storms are a really big thing, and we can't model them perfectly, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen. So it's going to be interesting. This first round is going to be stressful, I'm sure, but I mean, folks, we're going to go out there and do the best we can. This is going to be big. I mean, we might fall flat on our face the first time, but we'll make something happen at least.
I mean, what's it been, like 10 years?
Yeah, because think about with Hurricane Aaron, its track error. Because when we first heard about it, it was expected just to be completely offshore. No, there was little to no effects expected for the U.S. East Coast at all. And then we saw how every single time that the new run for the hurricane models came out, it just kept going further south and west, even giving us the idea that there's a potential that Aaron was actually going to make landfall in the U.S., whether it be either a direct landfall or if it was going to graze the coastline, which it technically kind of did, because my area did get some tropical storm force winds here, but like for grazing, I mean like the eye wall grazing the coast, essentially. Like it was pretty close, but thankfully it didn't hit anywhere near here. I don't think our area could have recovered from something like that.
Zach, did you have something to say?
No, I was just going to say, it's been like 10 years since we have went without a landfall, right? Something like that. We may get hosed this year.
I think was it 2017?
Yeah, some 15, 16, 17, something like that.
Yeah, and also we went from 2006 to 2014 without any major hurricanes making landfall in the United States. So it's not totally uncommon for us to get these droughts where we don't get landfalls. It's just sometimes how it goes.
I remember there being also, there was like a 9 or 10 year gap where Florida itself, the hurricane capital, didn't even have a hurricane landfall up until I think it was 2014 with Hermine, I want to say. It had like a 10-year gap where it didn't have any hurricanes at all, or it might have been 9.
Right. Pretty odd for Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been an interesting year with this stuff, and like we touched on Aaron there too. I mean, we actually thought that was gonna. I was really wondering if that was gonna sneak us something in there, but I guess I'm glad it didn't, because at the time we were ready, but we weren't super ready. Like it would have been a scramble. Hold on here. Somebody had a question they sent me here. Let's see. We got somebody asked a bit ago about not being able to full screen cameras in cycrad. That might not be a feature, honestly. It might not be. Radar Omega, it will allow you, and I don't know if that's an intended feature or a limitation, or if it just wasn't thought of. I mean, I'll ask on it. I'll ask the developer, but I mean, I guess these are the thing too to remember, folks. These are going to be kind of lower resolution. The bigger you make them, the worse they're going to look. And I know that's such a crappy answer, but one thing to remember with these two, if you are trying to watch these, they might, depending on your monitor, they might actually artifact a little bit of the bigger size. But I'll talk to somebody about that. I don't know if that was an intended feature or limitation, or if it just got left out. But let me show you. Let me add my. I'm going to add my screen on here, so I want to show everyone what that's about here. If you use Radar Omega, like if I click on one of them here, you can click on the screen and it goes full screen. That's not available in cycrad right now. But I'll check on that. I don't know if that was intentional or not. With that said, real quick while I have it up, this is gonna take like 6 seconds to do. If you guys are using Radar Omega, you go over here to turn cycrad or the Project WeatherEye stuff on. You go over to the main menu, you go down to Cyclone Port, and you toggle on and off storm chasers and stations. Right now, Project WeatherEye is not separate, but that's how you do it. And then you can zoom in very similar to Cycrad. Some of our devices will have data, not all of them. But okay, there you go. Radar Omega tutorial complete. Oh, holy smokes! Do you guys see this? We got like 4 areas of development here. What the heck?
We going to Hawaii now?
Yeah, we're gonna have to go to we're gonna have to go get a boat and go a little bit south of Hawaii by about 300 miles.
Gives me a chance to visit Kilauea.
Yeah, well, I guess we're gonna have to get on that. We could go to oh hell, you couldn't even go to the
Cabo.
Baja, California either. Yeah, yeah.
Let's go.
We could go to Baruba or Barbuda and get kind of close.
I think our issue would run into how we get that much battery power there without going over regulations for all the cameras, because those would be way over any sort of regulation. Unless we just take
Definitely
our own
stumbled
boat.
in there.
Yeah, they're bombs. They're literally classified as bombs according to airlines. So because of the capacity of the batteries.
I'm glad I only drive. I never fly. I'm glad I only drive.
That's a big reason I can't fly. Like I would love to be able to just rent a car and just have all my stuff, but I don't think I would be able to get all my stuff somewhere. And then you run the risk of losing luggage and losing a lot of luggage.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wish I could have put up more cameras today, but 3 of them got stuck over at baggage claim. Someone couldn't find them apparently.
Oh yeah, like if you packed all these into like a big ass suitcase, I mean, you could potentially like ground the entire system for like weeks if like one big suitcase got lost. And somebody in the chat's gonna be like, "Oh, well, they'll replace it." And it's like, well, yeah, that's cool, but if like the whole reason of going out for something is this, and you show up with nothing, you're kind of shafted there.
I know what we do. We use JG's delivery.
Well, now is GJ. You got to get it right, man.
Oh man.
I mean, I guess you could. I mean, some people are suggesting flying private. I mean, you got enough money for a private jet?
We're working on a helicopter.
Yeah, let's get that company helicopter going.
It needs to be a big helicopter.
Oh yeah.
Flying private. That would be nice.
We need to get a boat next, like a small yacht.
Get the Dominator boat
They're not
going. Let's go.
Hey, you're on to something. There we go.
Well,
Yeah, we
this
gotta
is
get
kind of what we
a
had.
hurricane helicopter.
Well, we've thought. Actually, no, we've had an internal idea, and it's really kind of far-fetched and honestly pretty ridiculous. But I'm not going to say it publicly because somebody's probably going to steal the idea and do it. It involves boat. We'll leave it at that. Next year.
Oh.
There's actually an idea that I stole from somebody, and then internally somebody else came up with the same idea, and I'm like, okay, well, it's free game now. So, when I say steal from somebody,
real
when I
estate.
say steal from somebody, it's a business partner, and we'll give credit where credit's due, but we're seriously considering strapping a camera to a kayak and just pitching it out in the storm surge and seeing where it goes.
It'd be fun.
I'll take some kayaking classes. I
Well,
promise.
we were thinking like you just put GPS on it and put like a bunch of cameras on it and just send it.
Hey, but if he wants to go out there,
Try to patch a hole in it, may or may not float, but we could try.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to.
I was more or less thinking the wind would just capsize me over. Just rolled over.
Yeah, we just need like floating drones.
Sail drones. There you go. Hey, you can steal Noah's idea for that. There you go. The sail drones.
Well, guys, we're approaching our hour. We wanted to keep this kind of short today, just to respect everybody's time, but we'll start closing this up. We'll keep it open here though, if anybody's got anything for any of our folks. But again, I'm gonna make sure we've got everybody's links on the Project WeatherEye website, projectweathereye.com or wxi.org. Scroll down to the bottom. Right now it's just me, Aiden, and Zach, but I got to get everybody's on there. I got their social media links. I put them on there, but for some reason it didn't update when I saved it. I think it just renders a new update at midnight, so those should be on tomorrow. Make sure you follow everybody's social media here, because Project WeatherEye started out as me, and then it involves a lot of people, and it really is a kind of a like an umbrella thing here, where it doesn't necessarily, it's not anybody's boss, it's not anybody's like command structure. Well, I guess it kind of is, but it's more or less, you know, a pool of resources that a lot of people can use. Like, for example, Aiden, just because he's right there, Aiden's YouTube channel, like he can take Project WeatherEye devices, work with Project WeatherEye, but he can take the content from Project WeatherEye, because he's part of it, almost like a co-op, and use that, and build your channel off of it. And that's what our members kind of get. Obviously, we'll be flat out. We're not going to obviously discuss finances on here, but like, we are paying and compensating our field team, and that's because we've got a really good audience that allows us to do this when we're out doing these things. But we want to give some sort of stability here for folks, like when we're out doing this, where there can be some reused content. Like if 5 cameras get something really cool and some of our field team want to do something with that content, that's where they get the chance to go and do it. And we've been criticized a little bit from that. There's been a lot of folks who have told me that, oh, that's a copy, it's going to be a copyright mess. And it's really not, because these folks are using it with permission. The Project WeatherEye LLC, is granting these folks, express permission, like they get to use it. So it's kind of a cool thing. And then before we close, we kind of forgot to touch on one thing, and you guys are welcome to interrupt me with comments on this. Next year, coming in like April, May, June, we're going to do some full-scale severe weather deployments where we're going to block off. We're not sure if we want to do like 2 long deployments or if we want to do like 3 shorter deployments, but we want to basically do, let's say, for example, May 7th through May 19th, we are going to be out doing full-scale deployments, and we're going to get a base of operations in Amarillo, because it looks like the pattern is going to be the Texas Panhandle, and we're going to put out our tropical units, the endurance long duration ones, and we're going to have our RDDs and then our tornado probes out there, so we can kind of really just pepper the area and be on multiple storms with multiple chasers, multiple cameras, and really just blanket these areas. And we'll collect data. We'll make the data available in the app as well. It may or may not be scientific research grade data, depending on funding and all that, but it will be useful data, and we will calibrate equipment, and we will, publish, what we've calibrated stuff to. And, if something interesting is on there, we get something hit with a tornado and we've got a pressure drop, which we've had with cyclone port stuff before. Here's the calibration, here's what the margin of error might be. And here, look at it. You want to do something with it. But we're really planning on that. And that's going to be something really exciting. And we're also planning on blizzards. So lake effect snow stuff. Those are kind of hit or miss. Like they're more like quick hitting, a little bit less time to plan. So those might not be as organized or as big of deployments, but we're planning on keeping this going as a constant thing. And obviously when we're out chasing, our individual chasers might deploy cameras that they've got in their inventory, because this isn't just a central inventory, it's spread out. But somebody might choose to deploy 2 or 3 cameras on their own. Those will still be in the app. So this is going to be a big continuing thing. Like, we all appreciate your support. We've got a lot of fun stuff to come. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this. This is going pretty well. Usually stuff like this fails miserably in the first 6 months, and it's done the opposite, and I'm really happy with that. So that was my monologue.
I was gonna say, I'm thinking, like, have you ever thought about actually, and this might even answer some people's questions too. So, like, have you actually thought about doing like actual weather stations for, like, deployments ahead of the path of a storm or something? Because I know that was something that you did try and eat with Ian a couple of years ago. I never heard about how that went or anything, but I do know that was something y'all were trying to do at that point.
Yeah, Keenan, were you with last year with the Tripod of Terror, or was I on my own?
Evan was there. That was during Milton.
Yeah, that was during Milton.
Yeah, Evan saw the Tripod of Doom.
I saw the tripod, but it wasn't deployed.
Yeah, so Don from SDS Weather, like Radar Omega, Cycrane, all that, he's the Project Mesoboard cameras, which was like the predecessor to this, that still operates, have sensors on them. So pressure, temperature, humidity, all that. Obviously, just basic weather sensor. He built a like a tripod, like an 8 foot tall tripod with a bunch of equipment on it, but a tree branch fell on it and took it out like 30 minutes after the storm started. And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. So we are planning that. We've got some smaller devices that have cheaper sensors in them and actually will stream data every 5 seconds. The the thing that's been kind of a where we really had to draw the line, we were initially going to just put weather sensors sound so cheap, but sensors in all of the camera units. But to do that, we had to run logic of some sort. We had to have a Pi in there. We'd have something else in there that was just going to, it was just more stuff, more battery life. So we've got little individual tiny Pelican cases. Once they're like totally finished, I'll start showing them off. But we've got little tiny like individual weather stations with a GPS puck and a modem, and they can be strapped with a camera or just strapped on their own, or just left on the ground or whatever. Because that is something that I want to do is have some sort of data collection, and especially with landfalling hurricanes and the pressure and all that. It's just we've had a little bit of a setback in developing them, because when you just put a sensor in a plastic case and it's sealed off and it's weatherproof, like that's going to take forever to adjust to atmosphere pressure, because it's like it's its own thing. And I was looking at it's like, God, maybe we could just interface with Tempest or something. It's like, I don't really want to spend that much money. So what we found is just easiest to take like a small plastic box and just vent it, and then put some of that like Gore-Tex, which is that like one-way membrane where like air can go through it but water can't. Um, so yeah, we're this year. I don't know how robust we're going to be with those, but next year for sure, I want to have a bunch of um, weather stations out, because honestly, they're pretty cheap to make and they're easy to deploy, especially without worrying about a camera.
Reason I ask is because I can actually make visualization plots for those and such. That's actually something I've been wanting to do for a while, because I have a weather station at my house and I've really done the same thing for. It's an old AccuRite one. It's like the cool thing about it is though is that it has like a history function, so it saves to like a micro SD card in CSV format, so I can use that, and then I really just made like plots off of that. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I started experimenting a little bit with that, especially for like our studio broadcast coming up for like some of the automated scenes. And it's something we're definitely going to want to polish up. I think once we have we have a working unit, but I basically, what I'm going through to do over the next week is I had to build an API just so that there's somewhere, because like this all goes to just a server in the cloud. And you folks watching, some of you guys get what I'm talking about here. It goes to a server in the cloud, and then it's just sitting there. So like I have to give an endpoint, which I have, but we're just kind of securing it because we have been DDoSed attacked in the past, and now we're a lot really securing a lot of stuff here, and just kind of crossing T's and dotting I's. But I'm going to make an API. I actually thought about making the API public too, like about people just wanting to ingest it, because it's just data. Like I don't care. So like we could even give just an API and say, okay, here's all the data. There you go. You can plot that. It's a standard format. There you go. You can ingest it.
Oh yeah, that sounds fun. Like I said, that kind of stuff is the kind of thing I've wanted to do my entire life, was work with data and like plot it and stuff, make it a little more digestible for the average person.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun this year. We've got a lot of good people here that know what they're doing, and we got a lot of folks that, and for the audience, a lot of folks here have full-time jobs that aren't this, and a lot of folks here might have more than one full-time job or a full-time and a part-time job, but people have devoted a lot of their time to this. And like David was just offering up there, like kind of how this project has worked is somebody's been like, oh, hey, you know what? I can do that. I'm good at it. And it's like, okay, great, because none of us are. So there you go. We've had things where, Aiden developed our logging thing to log deployments and stuff, so that, you can open your phone and click a button and it says it's deployed. The person that's running the show behind the computer somewhere says, oh, look, something there, it's deployed, plugs it in. It's good to go. It's all stuff that, a few people could do, but it's been so easy. People have just been like, oh, hey, yeah, like we can do that. And it's like, great, because I can't. And some of us here are good at things. We might have people that are good at cameras and some people that are good at data, and the data people can't do the camera thing, but the camera people can't do the data thing, and they just do their own thing. Like that's what's really been cool about this. It's really has been like kind of like a co-op in a way here with people getting things figured out. Like we grow the tree that is Project WeatherEye, and hopefully someday it gives us a freaking apple. That would be great. Or at least a leaf. Glimmer of
A
hope.
pretty leaf.
But
Yeah, it's been a really fun project to work on.
yeah, I mean it's been chaos. Like anybody here that's behind the scenes knows that like our organization when it comes to operating is fine, but when it comes to like planning and like something happening, it's just and this is more or less my problem than anybody else's, but it's just been like it's pretty chaotic because everybody's got schedules. Nobody's ever available at the same time. Like, you know, Evan's over there working 8 to 5 or whatever, and somebody else might be working from noon to midnight, and you know, I might only be available from midnight to 4. And it's like, well, where's the, you know, you got to your Venn diagram, where's the overlap? Okay, we got 5 minutes to overlap this. It's like, here's a bunch of stuff, and what it ends up usually happening is a disorganized mess. But like, for somehow the stuff does get done, which is good. Yeah, or yeah. Aiden says, yeah, or Keenan sleeping until 5 p.m. Eastern because of Pacific time. I totally feel that. Yeah, and the time zone difference. Yeah, it's a big thing. So, I mean, I really don't have a whole lot else other than you've kind of met the team and we got our introduction here. We'll do more of these, guys, and other people are welcome to host them too. This doesn't have to be centered on my channel. Like, if another member wants to run one of these, I can pass out the restream login so we don't have to pay twice or whatever. I mean, so we'll do some with it because it's kind of fun to get everybody here. So everybody's been introduced, and now if we want to do, well, when we do the skin, we can do something a little more technical and interesting with it. Anybody else in the chat or any of our folks have any last words that we need to go over? I'll look at the chat just in case.
I'm just ready for something to happen to get out.
You and me both.
Dude, I know.
Yep, same.
I'm waiting too. Trust me, I am waiting. I actually keep thinking something's going to happen in the Atlantic, and then it's just like, oh, never mind. It's model fantasy.
Yeah, you need to be real cautious though, David, when you come out here because you are bad luck, and if everybody starts getting flat tires, it ain't gonna be pretty. I'm gonna find you. That wasn't good, man.
Hey, I think. Hey. At least the last time that I chased with you, I didn't get a flat tire. I just had a bad headlight.
Yeah, that, to be fair, folks, so like that was kind of a. I mean, I had that was fun, but I mean, just like the luck that this guy had to just in Ida, and it was chaos, absolute chaos, and to just in Homa, which is kind of a rough, very rough area, and David's just like, I got a flat tire, and you know, here I'm thinking, oh, what gives a crap? Put some air in it, and then we walk over there, it's like, oh, David's got 2 flat tires with giant holes in them, and like nobody's got tire plugs because like everybody had used them all. It's like, and then we had this.
And I wasn't even sure where the holes came from to begin with. I still don't know to this day. It's a mystery
Yeah,
to me.
and like power was out, and the hurricane just went through, and then it's like, there was this guy that we found on the side of the road that was like drunk as all heck and like wouldn't leave us alone, and it was starting to get really, really shady, even shadier than that gas station that Aiden almost drove into. It was a little sketchy.
I wouldn't bet on that.
No, it was worse. I was a little getting a little concerned there.
Yeah, that's why I started yelling at him not to go in. I started getting concerned during Aiden.
Now, you know the scarier part during Ida to all came over. That was what scared me when all the cops came.
What was the scary part? What scared you? You cut out for that part.
I lost his audio.
What part scared you? Now we lost David.
Maybe when that guy tried to get you to take all that open leaking alcohol.
It could have been. Oh my God, folks that don't know the story, like we were walking down the road and just trying to figure out like what was going on after this hurricane went through, and this guy pulls up and he's like, "Hey," I'm like, "Yeah, howdy," and he's got an actual like this size, like a piece of legal paper, um like an actual full size sheet of paper, and it says like press on it, and it says like press pass, and it's like spelled wrong, and it's like what is going on? And this guy's like some Facebook news guy, and I'm just like the first, like he's like one of them, like he wasn't like a First Amendment auditor, but he's one of those like stupid scanner freaking Facebook scanner pages that nobody can tolerate. And sorry, but he was like walking around. He's like, "Yeah, I got something." He pops his trunk, and we're just like, "Okay." And he's got just like it was all Mike's Hard Lemonade. It was like 80 bottles of Mike's Hard Lemonade, and a lot of it was leaking everywhere. And he's like, "I just got to get this out of my car." And it's like I'm 90% sure this guy took it, like stole it.
Yeah.
We were afraid to turn it down because it's like, is this guy gonna like beat us up if we say no? And I was like, okay, well, I don't have any room in my car. And he's like, oh no, it's fine. It can go in your trunk. I'm like, I don't got any room in my trunk. Okay, well, we'll find some other room. And it's just like, okay. So he's following us around. We finally ditched him, but he was following us around. Oh my God, it was something was going on there, and I'm not sure what was going on, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
Hurricane chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even live stream that.
Wait, were you still talking about Ida?
Yeah, I was talking about the guy with all the Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Oh yeah. I still can't get over the cop situation. To me was crazy. Somebody calling someone that we were there like illegally, and they had all those cops come up there, and like it was like the good cop bad cop routine.
So sorry to sidetrack everybody, but I have to go talk about the time that we like 7 of us almost got arrested for just existing. So, and obviously, this is not like an anti-cop thing, but this was an anti whoever that cop was. I'll flat out say that. So we get let in by the fire department, basically into the parking garage in Homa, and basically told, you know what, you guys, we were there like a day and a half earlier. It was like, you guys stay here, you're good to go, but don't let anybody in. Lock yourselves in. They gave us a door code or the gate code, or like do not let anybody in here, but you are good to go, because this is where they like evacuated all the city vehicles and like the police cars, fire department stuff. They put them all in the parking garage. So like, you can have the top level, but we don't want anybody else here. Okay, no problem. And because like this guy was like a mutual friend of somebody David had in a Discord server or whatever, so we knew a guy, and it worked out well. Well, we were up there, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're just sitting there and eating chips, and another storm chaser was upset because I wouldn't let them was messaging me, I wouldn't let them up there. I was like, hey, I'm sorry, but they told us no. Like, this was like kind of a, hey, you knew somebody, we're gonna do you a favor. Well, this guy calls the cops and whines about it, says that they won't let him in, or we won't let him in, and that we weren't supposed to be up there. Well, apparently nobody at the fire department or the city services made the mention to the police department, even though I think they did, that we were supposed to be up there. So instead of just coming up there and making contact, this guy comes out, damn near draws a gun on me, and is like, "Yo, what are you doing? Don't move!" And I'm just like, okay, I'm like, hold on, and we've got some other people with us. I ain't gonna get into it, but we got some other people that are like getting heated, and I'm just like, okay, dude, chill out. I'm like, hold on. He's like, no, you're not going to tell me to chill out. And I'm just like, I threw my hands up at that point. I said, all right. I said, so who's getting arrested here and for what? And he's like, well, you're not allowed to be up here. You're trespassing. Your cars are getting towed. You're screwed. You're going to jail. And I'm just like, okay, first, I'm like, we need to chill out here. Like, we were told to be up here. So we make a phone call. The guy that we call from the fire department is asleep, and it did not look good for us, because I think we got somebody on the phone, and somebody was like, yeah, hey, it's the storm chasers or whatever. And this guy's like, what are you talking about? And we're just like, oh my God, no. And it did not look good. But anyway, like, he woke up and he was like, yeah, you're supposed to be up there. What are you talking about? And he ended up talking to the cop, and I think the cop ended up like cussing him out. He's like, well, you didn't do this or whatever. And the fire department's like, well, we have control over this facility. Like, this is like our emergency operations plan or whatever. So that was that was the time that we damn near all got arrested. And then we went to New Orleans because somebody thought it would be a good, that wasn't me or David, thought it would be a good idea to abandon ship and go to New Orleans. We go to New Orleans and then almost missed the landfall of Ida, which land fell directly at that parking garage. So then we all had to backtrack from New Orleans to Homa during like category 4 conditions. Like a tree branch fell on my car. There was a grain, it was a fertilizer plant. There was like a chute or like a conveyor belt that went across the road. We're driving under it, and this chute just gives out, like fertilizer's going everywhere. And the guy in my passenger seat is just like, floor it, floor it. I'm like, I floor it, and like the stuff's all over. I'm like, my God, we're gonna die. Well, I remember driving through Homa trying to not have stuff fall down on me, and then we get back to the parking garage. You will never believe what was at the parking garage. Every storm chaser and their cousin, somebody, the rumor has it, and I think it's true, somebody cut the damn lock. And every storm chaser was in that parking garage like 6 hours after this incident. So it was kind of ironic, but that was absolute chaos. That was not typically how this works.
Yeah, and then the tire incident happened when we got back to that parking structure, because I wasn't able to go upstairs with y'all because y'all were on the higher levels. I was stuck on the low levels. When I went up there and came up, y'all, that's when we got back down and found out, oh shoot, 2 tires, my passenger right or passenger front and passenger back were both had the holes in them, and they were letting out air too quick to even take it anywhere for an emergency. We couldn't even drive it to like another place like 5 minutes down the road. It was just out of air within like a minute.
Yeah, you cut those up pretty good. That made me nervous because it's just like when people's cars start going out of service, that's not good, because if all goes to hell, the more cars the better. And when you start dropping cars, it's like, because you get flat tires left and right in these hurricanes. But usually it's not a problem. But I mean, things happen. Either you forget your plug kit, or you don't have one, or something goes wrong, or your spare tire's messed up too. I mean, like stuff happens out there, and I mean, it can be worse. I mean, it could have been worse. I mean, it could have happened not at the parking garage, but still, I'll never forget that.
Yeah, me neither. That is one chase that is ingrained in my head. Like, trust me. Not just because it was great, because that was great. Finally, meeting you, meeting the other 2 people that were with us. It was great meeting them. It was even great meeting the other chaser that we actually helped out over there at that hotel when you were picking me up from there. It was even great helping them out. Meeting some other chasers in the process. But, I mean, definitely that freaking car incident happening there definitely is ingrained in my head. And like I said, now that I'm not driving, I've really got all these. I've got like a whole bunch of shit in my car now for tire stuff. So, yeah. But that chase was crazy. And, we also didn't just have the fire department. We also had the parish officials, because Homa is the capital, or not the cap. What's it called? What is it called? The county seat of or parish seat of the parish it was in. Terrebonne, I think is what it was called. And so we had not only permission from the fire chief that was there, who was the father of the friend of mine whom I talked to, but we also had the city officials and the parish officials telling us we were allowed to be at that structure because we were granted permission by them. And so that was when, Mr. Bad Cop decided to go off on us, and we had to go call the fire chief at 4 a.m. The man was trying to sleep. He was about to prepare for the hours of agony and HE double hockey stick he was going to be going through, because Ida was poised to be a very big hurricane for that area, and it was very destructive. So this guy woke up. We had to call this poor fire chief at like 4 a.m, like 12 hours before landfall, when this guy's trying to sleep before the calm before the storm, just so that this angry cop can yell at him and berate him for doing something that he had all rights to do. And then the cops were chill with us right after, except, Bad Cop. All the other ones that were with them were actually chill with us afterwards. I think they were even asking for your streaming information, or was it the other guy?
Well, some supervisors showed up and I guess kind of like put that guy in his place. And I think that was a lot of it. But I don't know if you remember, but they brought like the county people in the fire department. They brought us food. Like that's how.
Oh yeah, the fire department. Yeah, they gave us like their donation.
Yeah, they brought us a bunch of spaghetti.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that. Like I said, that's a chase I'll never forget.
Yeah, I'm just rolling through my pictures right now because I thought I had. Oh, I do have pictures. We've got there's all of us because this was when we stopped at the fire department and got the spaghetti and we all took pictures with them and because they were so excited about the storm
Yeah.
chasers. And I think we showed the cop that like these pictures as like proof, and he was just like looking at us like what. It was one of those situations where like I know how fishy it looked, but it was kind of like just it's 4 a.m. Like just go to bed.
Yeah, that and then those I remember the pictures that we took like when we were over there helping that chaser with their tire. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like helping them out. I remember taking some pictures during that too. But yep, other than that, sure. I mean, that was a great chase. I just don't want to relive the actual, tire part. That's the only part I don't want to relive. And I still feel bad because I was at that parking structure when y'all went to the Eye. I was like, oh my god, that's the one thing I wanted to do. But then the storm like kind of like it came towards us and then like turned last second, heading up more towards Raceland and what's that other town up there near La Plaza. Head up more towards that way instead of Homa. Turned last second.
Yeah, so we're gonna not do that again this year. We've got procedures in place to not do that.
Never again.
We've learned.
Got
Yep,
that out of
learned
this.
for sure.
Trial and error.
But yeah, no kidding. Well, guys, we'll shut her down. We went long, but it was fun. Appreciate
Oh, yeah.
everybody who joined in. We'll do it again. This was actually a request. Somebody sent me an email. I was seeing comments, but somebody sent me a huge email like 4 weeks ago and was like, "You should do this." Blah 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 blah. I'm just like, okay, yeah, good idea. Let's do it. So here we are.
Yeah, I think we should definitely do this more often.
Let's do it.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
just get a storm. Can we just get a storm, please?
Oh, I know it.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, I'll figure out how to end this. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys all later.
All right.
Thanks,
Oh, yeah.
everyone.
See you at the next
Here.
one.
Thank you.
There you go.
See ya.
Bye. Bye.